They were so happy to see me. Like,
Hi, I'm Liu. I'm from Japan. I'm doing UberEats for 8 months.
do you think it's a good job?
Yeah, I think it's good job because that it's really flexible. This is a big thing I like for UberEats.
Do you consider Uber Eats as a permanent job or a side gig?
I don't think it's a permanent job, but you can make it a permanent job because you won't be fired. But you want to be a rich person, I don't recommend because there is a limit you can earn from UberEats.
Have you been able to make a decent living from it?
Yes, you can earn kind of enough money to live because if you do it 5 hours per day and do it 5 days a week, and you can earn $2,000 per month. So I think it's enough to live.
Do you do deliveries by bike or by car?
I do it by bike.
And do you think it's easy to do 5 hours every day by bike?
And it's kind of tough, but I did it, especially in the winter time, because the wage is really high. So I did it for 5 hours and 6 hours per day.
Would you recommend Uber Eats to somebody who is looking for a job here or somebody who is new to Canada?
Yeah, I want to recommend, especially for people who is between jobs or people who is on working holiday, because as you said, it's really flexible.
Can you tell us something interesting or funny that happened while you were doing Uber Eats?
Yes, as I said, I'm doing Uber Eats for 8 months, so I have many stories. An Uber Eats courier can get 2 orders from the same restaurant, and then I did it, and I delivered to first customer, and I went to the second customer, and then I found there is nothing in the bag because I dropped off 2 orders at the first person's place, and the customer get angry. And then, I explained what he should do next and then apologized a lot and he understood, but it was tough and, kind of funny story of my Uber Eats life.
I'm Luca, I'm from Italy, and I worked as a Uber Eats courier for 1 month and a few weeks now.
And do you think it's a good job or can you tell me why?
Yeah, I think it's a good job because you can work freely, so you decide what time to work and how many hours, and I think that's the best part, to be very independent.
Do you consider Uber Eats as a permanent job or a side gig?
I think it's more of a side gig because you have to put a lot of effort, like physical effort, when you're working. And I think if you want to work full time and you want to have a good wage, it would be better to go for some other option.
I see. So you mean it's between permanent job and side gig?
It's pretty good.
Okay.
So you can actually work as an Uber Eats courier for a long time and live with that wage. But I think it would be still better if you had some other kind of more lucrative job as a permanent job.
Have you been able to make a decent living only from working as a courier?
Yeah, you can make kind of a decent living. It depends on how many hours you work.
Yeah.
And I think you can make a decent living from it.
That's cool. So would you recommend Uber Eats to somebody who is looking for a job or is new to Canada?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend that because it's the fastest option. So you just download the app, and after you get approved, you can start working. So you don't have to waste time applying for jobs and stuff like that. And you can search for another job in the meantime.
That's cool. So did you take a job interview or something to be a courier, Uber Eats courier?
No, actually, you don't need to take any interviews to be a courier. You don't even have to apply, or actually, you just have to register on the app and get approved, and that's it. It doesn't take anything special.
Oh, that's cool. So people can start working as a courier easily. That's cool. Can you tell us an interesting story about your experience as an Uber Eats courier?
Yeah, so this just happened a few days ago, and I was really surprised because I just brought this order to these two girls, and they were so happy to see me. Like one of them just came hugging me.
Oh, they hacked you.
So it was really crazy, really funny, and they even gave me some fries from their order. Like just
from the order?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really story.
It was really funny.
Hi, I'm Mike Cameron. I'm a courier. I work Fedora, DoorDash, and UberEats.
How do you manage to work through all of them?
Well, with Uber, I just go whenever I want, but sometimes it's slow, so then I end up using DoorDash if it's available. But Fedora usually don't work. But if I pick something, then I'll just work Fedora.
How long have you been a courier?
About 4 years.
Do you think it's a good job, and why?
Is it a good job? I mean, like, there are some parts to it that are very useful. The flexibility, the not having to deal with your boss, being able to be free to bike around the city. That part makes it great. Other parts, not so much, when you don't know if you're gonna get an order. Like, sometimes you're waiting, and you're like, oh, okay, it's been half an hour, usually not an hour, but sometimes it's hard to tell. So that makes it not so great. Plus, when it gets really cold, that can make it challenging too.
Do you consider working as an Uber Eats courier as a permanent job or something like a side gig?
Well, right now it's been permanent, although I'm kind of easing out of it, I guess. I'm doing other things as well, but I wouldn't want to do this for the rest of my life, if that's what you're asking.
Have you been able to make a decent living only from working as a courier, and how do you feel about that?
Okay, when I first started working, when it was Courier before Fedora, it was pretty easy. You know, it didn't matter what time of year, it was pretty easy. Uber Eats was pretty easy, the boosts were good, the money was very good at certain points. However, over this last year, things have kind of like gone downhill. This year, I've had to take on other work to be able to afford my basic costs.
Would you recommend Uber Eats to somebody who is looking for a job or somebody who is new to Canada?
Yes, I would, because it's an easy job to get. I know people that come here and they don't have a lot of options, and maybe it takes them a while to find a job that's decent, and rent costs a lot, food costs a lot, so Uber's pretty good, or any courier work. Uber's probably the easiest one to get into, but it's easy to make money and it's decent money.
Speaking of wages, can you tell us something about the Foodora movement that has arisen recently? Can you tell us something about that?
I sure can, because I've been a part of the campaign to unionize. So yeah, our wage has been the same for the last 4 years, despite inflation, despite the rent going up and the cost of groceries, like I mentioned. At least to approach the labor board, you have to have at least 40% of the fleet to sign union cards. Then you apply with those union cards to the labor board, and then they create the vote.
Can you tell us an interesting story or something that happened while you were working as a courier for Uber Eats or Foodora?
Okay, just one interesting story. I have a really good one. Okay, so part of the job when you're going to a restaurant, you have this code. And the restaurant people, they're like, oh, what's your number?
Right.
And they're referring to this code.
Right.
So I went to this place. It was Thai Basil. It was on Queen and Spadina. And I'm approaching the counter. And this lady, she was like, "Oh, what's your number?" And I was like, "Oh, wow, you're so forward." And then she's like, "But I just met you." And I was like, "Oh, that is perfect. Perfect wording." And I was like, "And this is crazy. Here's my number. So call me maybe."
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
It was great. She was howling. You know, her coworkers were howling, just laughing out loud. She probably felt a little bit embarrassed, but I had the time of my life with that delivery. It was great. Yeah, there's never a dull moment in this job. You know, there's always something going on that you never expect.
Well, that's the cool part.
Yeah, sometimes.